Sorry, I usually have my dope testimony hat on when I'm working out. I wear that every time I'm at the gym or when I'm going hiking. So I got to cop a new one of those from because mine has been through the trenches.
I've been seeing it
like a testimony.
Yo, what's up, world? It's your big bro, The Real Bob JR. This is Dope Testimony TV. Right now, we are at Earl's on Crenshaw. I got a very dope interview for y'all today. Very special guest. So you want to tap in. You don't want to miss it. All right? Yo, what up, world? It's your big bro at The Real Bob JR. This is Dope Testimony TV. And right now, I got a very, very special guest with me. This is a friend. This is my brother. Been knowing this man for over 10 years.
Damn.
He's great at what he does. Hella funny. Give it up for my guy, Tahir Moore.
Hey, man.
What's up, brother? Man, like, we've
Sorry,
really been knowing each other for over 10 years. And we've been on our grind and on our journey, man. So it's been really exciting, bro, watching you grow into space and getting your flowers and getting your just due, man. You know what's funny? I remember when I was still living in St. Louis at the time, and I saw you out at the Ambassador. I came out to see you there, man, and I just remember looking at you, and I was like, "Oh, he got it." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I said it there. I was like, "He got it. He gonna make it." Because you went up there and you was talking about the differences in churches on the West Coast and the Midwest down south. And they're crying, dog. So man, just to see where you at now, brother, man, it's a blessing, bro, and I appreciate you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Real quick, man. So let people know where you're from and what do you do if they don't know?
Well, I'm from the crib, St. Louis, Missouri, and East St. Louis, Illinois. Grew up on both sides, went to school in St. Louis, moved out to LA to pursue comedy and acting, and been out here ever since. You know, it was an uphill battle for a nice amount of time. With anything, you know, you got to get your reps up, but also like reputation matters and who you know matters and who knows you matters even more in certain situations. Just, you know, sow a lot of seeds and get those reps up. And now I'm at a place now where a lot of people are familiar with me or my art, and I've stopped chasing or having to chase it as much. And a lot of things are coming to me now. That's right. From the reps that I put in and the relationships I build. So that in itself is a blessing, man. One of the biggest I can acknowledge right now. That and the fact that God is just great, you know what I mean? That's
what's up, man. And I really resonated with what you just said. You say you stop chasing and it's coming to you. And they say that's you attracting. You know what I'm saying? You have to attract what you want. Yeah. That brings me to my next question. Like, how did you get to that point? What was the moment when you realized that comedy is what you're gonna do for real?
Oh, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. I think comedy and entertainment as a whole was just my calling. It was supposed to be my walk of life. I was just telling them, I think they asked me what was the moment that I knew I had made it or, you know, I had transitioned to a next level. And I don't think that it's one particular moment. I feel like, you know, when you're pursuing something, you have these aspirations and along the way you have these milestones and it's from those milestones being fulfilled and those gaps being filled on your resume that you start to accumulation of it starts to make you feel like, all right, now I'm getting there. I've arrived. It's not just one specific thing because I can have a standing ovation and have a great show, but that next show I could bomb or just not have the same effect in my mind. It's getting to a point where you understand the material, you trust the material, you trust the response from the audience, and all of those things collectively make you feel like you're getting closer to that goal.
Consistency, man. Consistency wins
consistency and racking up the wins. Like, it really is a numbers game. It is. The averages matter, like how much time you're putting into it. Somebody can be pursuing something for 20 years because they weren't doing it consistently. They take a time off, not taking it serious this year. Something traumatic could happen. It could not be necessarily them slacking off. It could be a traumatic thing happen. A family member passes or out of work and you have to put things on hold and defer for a second. So it takes them 20 years to get to these certain milestones for them to start to feel like it. But somebody that has no obligations, no kids, you know, they have the luxury of staying at home with their parents and other people helping them support and chase their dream, they can achieve it in 8. Everybody's walk and journey is different. It doesn't dictate the success or the failure of another person. It's that what's for you is for you. And the harder you work toward it, the faster you may get to it.
So much wisdom in what you're saying, because that's something that took me time to learn, where it's just like, focus on what's for you. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, how they got, you gonna get yours when it's time for you to get yours.
Absolutely.
And I think when you move at it like that, it gives you a peace. It gives you a confidence knowing that what's for you will find you. You won't be getting mad or jealous of anybody else's success, you know?
And not to say that those feelings won't arise, because they definitely, I mean, you know, I got some friends that's out here killing. I'm like, damn, and I would feel better than that. Because you definitely don't have that. But the genuine love that you have for that person and the happiness that you see and you receive from seeing them win, if it is genuine, will always overpower that, you know. But again, you can't rush your greatness. You have to just put the time in, and what's for you won't miss you.
All right. So were you actually funny growing up, or was that something that you grew into?
Always been hilarious.
I can believe that.
Always been a beast. Always been. I've always been addicted to making people laugh. Bro. I knew, because I was one of those kids. I had one of those moms where she would tell me, when people ask you what you want to be, you say a doctor. Right. And I would do it just out of respect and, you know, just my mom. Right. I knew I didn't want to be no doctor, bro. I hated the doctor. Why would I want to go and chastise and terrorize kids? Fucking hate the doctor. No way I'm going to be a doctor. But I'm saying because of obedience. I'm like, you're crazy. These toys suck. It stinks in here. They got needles here. It's so many gloves. Everybody in here white. I don't want to be no doctor, bro. I ain't never seen a black doctor for real. So I'm so like, I don't want to.
Like, why wasn't that the thing? Because my parents told me the same thing. A lawyer.
Yeah, good paying job. You know, our parents just wanted the best for us because they were coming out of the time where, you know, blacks didn't get an opportunity to do this.
True.
You know, colleges were still, you know, growing, and HBCUs were developing, and people are finally graduating and going off and getting good jobs. So that's what they want for us. Right. But like, we grew up, you know, in the 90s and the 2000s, being born in the 80s. And it was like so many things were changing. I mean, back when we were kids, 10, 11, 9, 10, we were told, you'll never make any money playing those video games. You're spending too much time playing video games. Now look, some of the richest people in the world are video game streamers. It's crazy. So things changed so much. And I had to keep that in mind when trying to encourage my daughter to figure out what she wanted to do and go to school and stuff like that. The game has changed. Yeah. That's the only constant in our life is change.
Right. So the next question is, it's going to get a little on the spiritual side. Okay. All right. So how has faith played a role in your journey, especially when things weren't working?
Oh man, this is such a great question because I feel like they tie so well into it. They're weaving into each other. Okay. You have to be a little delusional. And that's something, you have to be a little delusional to have faith and to have religion. You're believing in this entity, this being, this force that we've never seen before. Right. We can't necessarily prove. The books were wrote after Jesus died, right? There have been multiple iterations of it. Right. Old Testament, New Testament, King James Version, all of those types, so many things, but we're still believing that this person, this God, this being came down, died for our sins so that we can live on. Right. So we can have free will and choose the direction we want to go with life. Right? You need that same delusion. You need that same faith. You need that same belief when pursuing your dreams. Because I'm doing something that has never been done in my family. I'm doing something that has no blueprint to ensure success. And you talk about being a doctor and a lawyer, you might not ever become a partner or have your own practice, but you can work at a hospital. You can work at a law firm. If you study hard, you do the work, you put the times in, you could it might take some while, but you can get a job at those things. There's no guarantee blueprint that ensures success when it comes to entertainment. That's rapping, that's acting, that's comedy, that's art, anything. It is really the people that choose you and the effort and the energy that you put into your art. Nothing more, nothing less. And so you need that same, like, I feel like, you know, because I grew up in a church and I understand like moving by faith, not by sight. That's what moving out to LA was. But doing these open mics and putting in that sweat equity was taking the free gigs to build this relationship and also show that camaraderie. So when we are in a position where we can pay each other or we can lift each other up into a position, that's what all of that's for. Initially, you don't see it. You don't know what and there's also no assurity that it's going to happen. Right. But you're still moving with faith. That's how it's really helped me. Like, they went hand in hand.
I tell people, man, you know, faith is everything. That's how Dope Testimony TV even started with just faith, you know? Everything that you're saying, bro, is really hitting. This next question, I feel like you already do this, but I'm just going to ask it. Do you feel like what you're doing now is your calling?
Absolutely. I can't do nothing else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at my big age, I can't start over. Get an entry job at Target. I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna get fired, bro. I play too much. I'm too childish. I'm gonna be thinking about like, man, I gotta work this many hours just to buy this food, get this guy. Nah, I ain't gonna be no good at that, bro. I ain't gonna be no good at no entry level, bro. I have to do this. This has to work.
That's right.
I never really thought about that before, and in a sense of this has to work. And I remember having this conversation with one of my OGs, one of my mentors. He said, you got a lot of what it takes to make it, but you don't have what dope dealers have. I was like, what does that even mean? He was like, you don't have the mentality that this has to work. He's like, when somebody's selling dope, they know the risks associated with it.
Right.
They know that most, big time drug dealers either go to jail or they get killed. But this, in their mind, this is the only option. There's no plan B. He's like, I need to see that ferocity in you, like there is no plan B. And that's hard for me to do because I'm a planner. Like I'm a saver. I like to calculate things.
Right.
I like a savings account. I like to look and to be like, okay, if something happened, I'm good for 2 years. Yeah. That's comfort to me. That's security to me. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but like, because I have that cautiousness and that timidness in certain areas in my life, does prevent me from going to a place sometimes where it's all a bust. Like putting it all on the line, going as hard, and because it's like, oh, well, what if I fail? This costs me money. What if I go out of town? It's like you're gonna need more of that dog in you if you want to get to that next level. And so I've really been embracing that lately too.
Nah, that makes sense, man. Great wisdom right there. Was there a time you thought this might not work?
Yeah, every day.
And what did that moment look like? What did that moment look like, Wiz?
And once a week, I was like, I'm stupid. This is horrible. I'm gonna fail. Nobody thinks I'm funny.
That's real.
And it's those. I don't know if those thoughts ever go away. You could have be one of the. You could be Kevin Hart. And I'm listening to his book right now, Monsters and How to Tame Them. He's going through the different type of monsters. He was like, I literally just was listening to this on the way up here, and the chapter that I'm on, he's talking about the can't go back monster. For instance, for him, he hit the top paid comedians list one year. Jerry Seinfeld had won previous all of these years. And then the year he won, he was like, oh, snap. He wasn't even aware this was a list that was around.
Okay.
He was proud of it, The next year he didn't tour at all. So when the list came out, they didn't even mention him. He wasn't even on the list. He didn't even rank.
Dang.
Like he started to feel like, damn, do they know I'm not even touring right now? Did they mention that, anything like that? All right, now I gotta ramp it up. I got twice as hard next year because we set these goals and we feel like if we don't hit this every time or better, then we're not good anymore. We're not relevant. We're not worthy of the acclaim and the fame. So it's like, I struggle with that because I'll have a killer show, then a great show, then a great show, then a killer show. The moment I have a okay show, I'm like, I suck.
Them thoughts start.
Yeah. Always get humbled. You can always have to start over. You can always have something to prove to yourself, but you can always be humble and thankful for where you are. I remember when I was just struggling to try to get 5 minutes on set on the stage, and then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and then I just wanted to host. And if I could just host something, if I could just headline, great. Now if I could just go on tour with somebody, just open somebody, and I did that. Then I was featuring, then I did my own tour. And so if I had to go back to hosting while I'm in town because I'm not touring, I can't look at that as a failure. I remember there was a time when I was begging people for opportunity to host. So now when I'm hosting, I'm looking at this as like an opportunity, 1, to strengthen that muscle, 2, to appreciate how far I've come. Yeah, I'm hosting at the Laugh Factory, but it's also Chocolate Sundays, one of the hottest shows in the country.
Yeah.
And this is paying your dues. I'm saying I asked and begged and worked hard to get on this position. And now not only am I in that position, but I'm in that position at one of the most popular clubs and nights in the country. So it's not a loss. I'm not looking at that as backtracking. I'm just grateful, man. But sometimes it's hard if you lose sight of that when you're chasing certain things or you feel like you got to a certain area. So I had a show that was I didn't think it was good. All my friends said I'm being too hard on myself, but I felt like I bombed.
I think you're being too hard on yourself, man. All the shows I've seen of you, you know what I'm saying? You've killed, bro. Yeah. But I understand as an artist, I understand that feeling like, dang.
Yeah, I didn't murder it like I needed to.
Like I thought I
know I can.
Like I know I can.
You know what I'm saying? Given the perfect circumstance and the perfect situation, but it's not always going to be there. So I came back 2 weeks later. Last night I did the same show, and this was an audition for BT Comic View, and I did really, really well, but I still didn't kill it. First off, I really couldn't get them where I wanted to, but I was like, but I did better than the last time, and I did really well. I got laughs all through my set, and I got a big laugh getting off. Now, were they slapping their thighs, dying? Like my homeboy, who went a couple people after me, he had them in that. He had them. I know he gone. I know he did. But I did really well. And I can't diminish my accomplishments by utilizing comparison. Because, I mean, you know the saying, comparison is a thief of joy. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm robbing myself of the moment of being proud of myself, for redeeming myself for the last time. I'm comparing it to what my homeboy did. And that ain't what God got for me. His path is his path. So I'm looking at his with jealous and green eyes. I'm not being appreciative of mine. And the fact that I in comparison to them, I killed in comparison to the last time. Let's focus on that. But that's hard to do. And I need these reminders. We all do. So, you know what I mean?
Even the people watching.
Absolutely.
They need the reminders as well, man.
It's not just comedy. I mean, entertainment too. Like if you're the top seller in your region and you do that for three quarters in a row, but that fourth quarter you don't get it. Now you didn't get that bonus. And because you've attached success to these accolades and these titles and these bonuses, the moment that you don't get it, you feel like a failure. But that's not the case. Somebody might have, the same way you came in and you bumped somebody off for those 3 quarters, that happens. Somebody's going to bump you off. That doesn't make you any less successful, doesn't make you any less of a good employee, doesn't mean that you're not working twice as hard or working as hard. Somebody might have just came in with more veracity and they're younger and they came in with the context that they needed to seal that position for you. And it doesn't mean that you can't get it back. But being thankful and grateful is just is one of the most important tools that you can have in your toolbox. Because the moment that you lose sight of it, you can't find it when you're going to be humbled. You're going to be humbled.
Very true. I've been humbled before. So this is my next question. What's something people don't understand about being a comedian? What you think?
It's really not one of those things that you can, in terms of dating, you can't have a situationship with comedy. You can't be on again, off again. Mm-hmm. You can't just be hanging out, y'all just chilling, y'all ain't putting no titles on it. This ain't we kicking it till we figuring out what we did. Nah, man. This requires commitment. Yeah. It requires a union. Because you're going to have to sacrifice for it. You're going to miss things for it. It's going to cost you money. You have to invest in it to ensure your success. And even then, it's not, just like a marriage, it's not guaranteed. You have to commit to this unwaveringly because it requires that much. And I take it that seriously because I think about the fact that people who come to my shows, they're using the money from a job that they might hate. Mm-hmm. Or they're using that money from their job that they hate that they could be using on a vacation, on their kids, on some shoes, clothes, their favorite, whatever. Choosing to spend that money with me. That's love, bro. So I feel in the obligation to make sure I go my hardest, to make sure I practice, to make sure I'm coming up with the most creative bits and shit that they ain't never heard before, that they're going to want to run back and tell their friends, not to just make me more popular, but because I left them with something. Left better than they came with. It felt like an even exchange for the amount of money they paid to see me, the amount of money they paid that they work for at a job that they may hate. So I take that very seriously, man. And that's what comedy requires. It requires commitment. It requires a union. It requires sacrifice, dedication, unwavering loyalty.
And I don't think people understand like how hard it is to make people laugh. You know, like you going to different places, different cities, small towns, and people don't know you. So they like, why should I laugh at you? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like some people, let me ask you, do you feel like some people just don't want to laugh just cause like they don't have a connection with you or know you?
I've met people who like, I remember this chick I was talking to one time. She said, I tend to try not to laugh at your shows. I was like, what sense does that make? She was like, I don't know, because I like the fact that you make me break. And I was like, all right, you know, that's really weird, but I ain't gonna yuck your yum. Because she was still coming, she was still paying the money for the tickets. She wasn't getting free tickets. Dang. But I realized that
you got to work for her. Like.
Yeah, and there are people that don't like that. There are also people who might have had a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or a bad year. They're not in that space mentally, and they're hoping that maybe something happens, that they just need to be around positivity. And that's really hard for an entertainer. Comedy is what I can speak on, but I would imagine, if you're a rapper or a singer and you see somebody in the audience, they're just giving you nothing, you might focus on that too. But as a comic, because I'm there to try to see your molars and see your wisdom tooth, and you just giving me the stale face, I almost take offense to it. Like, yo, what's going on with you? But I don't know what's going on with them. They might just need to be around this energy. They might have got in an argument in the car, and now they just there out of obligation. They could have got bad news in the car, and you never know. So, like, I try really hard not to focus on that anymore, because long as I know I'm doing my job and I'm keeping in up my end of the bargain, then that's all I can hope for. I know I'm gonna get most of the people there, so I can't focus on everybody else.
If you could go back 10 to 20 years and talk to your younger self, what would you tell them right now?
I would tell my younger self a lot of the stuff that I'm saying right now. I'm 20 years in, and I'm only 20 years in because I was kind of just fucking around with her. I was flirting with her, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't writing consistently. I wasn't going to mics the way I used to. A lot of my early on success came from good relationships and just being good energy and being a cool person to be around, which is great. But if I had mixed that or combined that with the work ethic that I have now, it would happen 15 years ago. I mean, it would happen in 15 years versus 20. Or could it happen in 12 years instead of 20? But sometimes you have to go through certain things to learn. And I'm one of those people, unfortunately, a lot of times it's trial by fire for me. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen to somebody else. Sometimes it absorbs and sometimes it didn't. And that's something else I had to learn, and thankful for therapy and just like growth. If I felt like a person was trying to, drop some gang on me, but I felt like they couldn't have survived what I survived growing up, moving out when I did, having a kid when I did, you know what I'm saying? Being a product of a single parent household and all those type of things. They grew up with two parents and went to a good school and lived in a good neighborhood. If they grew up in a two-parent household in a good neighborhood and went to a good school and, grew up kind of affluent, had access to money and things of that nature, sometimes I would dismiss what they were trying to put me on, because I'm like, bro, you couldn't even survive what I've been through. I ain't listening to somebody that I know. You couldn't even made it out of my city, my hood. You know what I'm saying? With a kid at 14, you would have dropped out. You're not built for this. Here's the thing, though. Just because they grew up in that life of what seemed like opulence, and the parents and their lifestyles were affluent and they went to this, doesn't mean that their dad wasn't abusive to them or their mom. Their mom wasn't an addict of some sorts. They themselves weren't abused mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually. Just because a person and their outward appearance seems like they were all put together and they couldn't have lived the life that you lived, doesn't mean that they don't have something to offer. All we get to see is this until you have those deep conversations. And somebody being abused, they don't bring that out in the first conversation. They're not gonna bring that out until they comfortable with you, when you build that rapport with them. So I try not to be so quick to cast out someone's life lessons or gems that they're trying to drop on me just because of where they come from. Like, it's not fair, and that's something that I had to realize and grow into. So I definitely try to implement that a lot more.
What would you tell somebody chasing a dream that feel like it's taking too long?
I mean, that's hard, man, because even giving advice is subjective. Like I said, my personality and my energy and just good nature is what got me in a lot of doors, even when my talent wasn't matching. Me saying that to somebody that's an introvert who has the difficulty with being the life of the party, or just holding a casual conversation, they're not, they just can't do that type of stuff, but they're extremely talented. That's not going to help them. That information just won't help them. What I would say is that if you're putting forth the effort and it's meant for you, and you're a spiritual or energetic person, and you're putting it out to the universe, this is what you want to do, your steps will be guided. When you're doing the work and you're telling the universe this is what you want, letting God know this is what you want, your steps will be guided. And I will also say that when these tough times come up, remember what you pray for. Pray for, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I'm ready for this. You're going to get tested to see if you're ready for that next level. You're going to get tested to see if you're ready, if you're responsible for what comes with that. When you get that you're going to be responsible for it. And that comes in a different form. Sometimes it comes in horrible people around you. Sometimes it comes in drug or alcohol abuse. Sometimes it comes in, you know, if you are morally ready for this, and there will be an opportunity for you to advance, but you might have to do something that goes against your morals. Like, you will be tested if you're really ready for it. And based on those series of tests, which feel like hardships and hurdles, will determine how far you get in your journey. And that's just my opinion.
No, that's great. That's a great answer. All right. So man, appreciate you tapping in with me.
Yeah,
today,
for sure, man.
And can you let the people know where they can find you?
Man, I might have a website coming soon, but until then, it's Tahir Moore on all platforms. All platforms, I mean, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I canceled my TikTok. I couldn't break through the algorithm. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I was just
TikTok.
I ended it, bro. I feel too old.
I feel you.
I couldn't figure it out. My videos just went no traction.
Man, thank you so much for doing it, man. Tahir, my brother, man. All right, y'all. This is another dope episode from Dope Testimony TV. And yeah, tap in with my brother here, man. Keep watching him. He is going to reach all the heights that he's set out for. So yeah, appreciate y'all tapping in with us. Dope Testimony TV. We out.
Yo, what up? I'm Tahir Moore, and this is Dope Testimony TV.